What's up everybody, welcome back to another video of Flutter and Firebase Developer Bootcamps week 4. Again, if you're new here, just not forget to check out the full playlist link in the video description. Anyways, in the last video, we did some work around to load the context from the phone and we completed the chat features domain layer. Along with that, we also tackled with some other small changes which required very less time to be dealt with. And today we will going to write the actual implementation for chat feature, then we will write the qubits, and lastly registering them in the injection container. So let's get through it. So here we have the user feature code. So we are simply going to collapse this because we are not going to deal with this anymore for now. So it's better to be collapsed like that. And here is our chat feature, where we write some code in the previous video and we left the chat actual implementation in here. And obviously this is going to again depend upon the Firebase Firestore dependency, because we are using the Firebase as a backend for this application. So simply tag the instance of the Firebase Firestore and pass it in the constructor. And here we go. So we have the methods here to implement. So the delete chat and delete message are on top. So we are going to first implement the send message. So to clear up everything, then you will get familiar with the code that we will be writing for the delete chat, delete message and getting them. Because first we will send the message, then we will be allowed to get or delete that. So there is some concepts that you need to understand. So that is why we first going to write the send message to make it easy for you to understand the other methods functionality also. So I'm gonna copy this method, or not copy but just simply cut it and paste it here on top. So this will be the method we will be implementing first, then go for others. First thing first, make it asynchronous. So we are going to call these two future methods inside this send message method for first adding that specific user to our conversation and then to send him a message. So that by doing add to my chat, we will be allowed to load the user in the chat page and the message will be sent, can be seen in the single chat page of that specific user. So for now it might be a little bit confusing for you, but let's just write the code. So along with that, it will become more clear to you like that. So simply open the body of the add to my chat. So what's gonna happen when the add to chat is called? The first thing that we have to do in the add to my chat is to access to the collections references current user, which means mine, and the other user that we are sending a message to. So what we are doing in here is going to the user collection, and inside we are doing the sender UID, which means that our current UID. Inside our UID, we will create the my chat. For example, there will be only my chat conversations and this user will be added in here when I send message to him. And the other chat reference will again be the user collection, but this time the document ID will be the recipient UID. So for the other user, the same thing will happen. We will create, using his ID, simply create the my chat collection. So this my chat collection in case of other chat reference will be his chat data where his conversations will comes in. So that was the first step to do in the add to my chat. Before going further with the code, let me explain how the my chat conversations and the messages is going to store in our Cloud Firestore database. So first we are going to have the users, which is the simple user collections that I am accessing here, and we accessed this previously also in the user feature. So this is the same user collections where our users are stored for now. So inside that users collection, we have the IDs of the users. For example, all the users inside the users will be the context of the users. And inside each specific UID, there will be my chat, and inside that my chat collection, there will be the IDs of the users to which the specific user chat with. For example, if I show you in the Cloud Firestore database in here, we have the user collection, which is this user collection, and we have the ID. So here we are going to have the IDs of all the users, and inside this specific UID, for example, I send message to some other user, so inside my ID here will be created another collection named my chat, and this will be the same collection as users but will be inside the specific UID, and inside that my chat there will be the IDs of the users that I chat with, so these will become my conversations. And inside each UID inside my chat collection, which will be created in here in the specific UID, will be the messages of that specific user of the UID stored in the my chat collection. So the messages collection is going to contain all the messages by the UID of that specific user. So that is how the flow is going to be for the chat in our WhatsApp clone. So for add to my chat a specific user, first of all we accessed or created the collections for both of the users my chat, and the next step in the add to my chat is going to be to create my new chat and other new chat, where the data will come from the chat entity. For example, when we are calling this method from the UI, so that data will come from here. So the difference between these two chats is that in the my new chat, the sender will be the sender profile URL, which means that my URL, I am the current user, I am sending message, so the sender will be the sender and the recipient will remain the recipient. But in case of other new chat, this will be the opposite of that. For example, the sender will become the recipient and the recipient will become the sender. So like that, these two are considered the two different users with one-to-one chatting with each other. So this model will got the data from the UI while sending message to each other, and what will be the next step in here is simply put try catch BLoC for if an exception occurs, so we get to know what is happening. And we are doing my chat reference.doc from the chat recipient UID. So here we are looking at if inside my chat reference collection, inside my chat where we gone from the sender UID, which means our ID, if inside my chat get the user on the recipient UID, if there were the user that I have chat with, so simply get that. Then we are checking after getting it if it was not exist, and the request we send return nothing, which means that the chat document does not exist on that specific ID. So what you're gonna do is simply for my chat go to the recipient UID, which means the user we are going to chat with, his UID. On his UID set the new chat with the data got from the model coming from the UI, and then on the other chat reference of the other user, here will come the my ID, so I'll be his recipient in that case, as we have put the data in here and as I explained. So I will set the other new chat. So for both of the users, inside their UID will be created a my chat collection, and inside that will be the IDs of each other. So we both will become each other conversations after sending a message. So this method is going to be called in the send message later, but for now it's in the implementing or it's almost done. The only thing is remaining that I'm going to explain this also. What if the document already exists? So if the document already exists, what we're going to do on the same ID, simply update the my new chat and the other new chat, and that's it. Like if we again sending a message, for example, for the first time we send a message, so the recent text message got the data, so on the chat page the recent text message will be shown. Like if I say hi, so the recent text message will also be shown on the chat page, but will also be inside a single chat page obviously. And when I again send a message, so this method will be again called. So for the second time this condition will be false and this will be executed and the recent text message will be updated for both of the users. And that was all the logic for the add to my chat method. So if you're still confused somewhere here, so simply you can go back in that video and rewatch that part, that everything that I explained, what is going to happen when the add to my chat is called, like how everything will be created for the sender user and the recipient user. So that was the add to my chat, and after that what we're gonna do is to implement the send message based on type. So following the same flow, we have reached to here, from user to UID, from my chat to the user IDs. Now we're going to get through these messages and the message IDs. So first thing first, here we will go with the my message reference and the other message reference. So until that, my chat, the collection reference is same, but for the next step it gets interesting. We got the recipient UID which we were checking here if it was exist or not. So we get to this UID and create again the messages collection for that specific user. For example, my message reference, so I got created the messages for the specific user that I am going to chat with, and for the other, the my UID, I am as a recipient got the messages for his inside his UID, my chat, and the messages collection. So that was simple, the collection reference, and the next step is will be same, creating the model like that to take the data from the UI. So we got it like that. The message ID will be each time different to uniquely identify each message inside the messages collection, and the message model got the sender, recipient, sender name, recipient name, all like that, and the created reply to, as I explained in the previous video, how the entity fields is going to be work and for what purpose these are going to be used. So that was simple, the new message send, and to set it inside the collection, we're again gonna try and catch, and simply for my message ref and for other message ref, we'll pass the message ID for both and set the new message for the both. So we got the structure of the messages, like I also have the messages of the user and the other user also have the messages that we send to each other. So we can have the delete from me functionality, like if I delete a message, so it's only deleted from my messages, not from his. So we can also implement the delete for everyone functionality, like we can access to the other user ID in the single chat page. So simply for the first 13 minutes we can set the time, can do some comparison with time and check the conditions. If the 30 minutes has been passed of sending a message, so simply we cannot delete for everyone and only delete for me will be done. Otherwise we can also do the delete for everyone. So this functionality is also possible with the chat model that we just implemented. So these was the two methods will be called inside the send message. So now we're gonna go and modify the send message. So remove the to do, implement, and throw unimplemented error, and here we'll go first. We will call the send message based on type, passing the message directly. So what is going to happen first in here, it is going to create the my chat and the messages collections for both of the users first on the similar ID that we are dealing here on the sender and the recipient, and here is the sender and the recipient, and the further IDs are also the recipient and the sender, like that, just for the messages. So it is first going to create the path for that, and after this is being called, what we're going to do, we will call the add to my chat, so that again these collections will be accessed and the data will come from the UI, and then the condition will be checked like that. So in that case, since the send message is called before, so the document might be existed, so it will simply update that with the fields gotten from here. So for both of the user, the data will be updated, so the conversation data will be created and the message will be sent also like this. There are also other ways to achieve this. So if you know better way than this, like if you have any better idea than me, simply you can implement it and also let me know if you implement the better idea than me, so I can also learn from you. But for now in that video, let's just be with me of calling the send message based on type and add to my chat like that. And one more thing which must be done here is that after sending a message, we are going to create a simple local variable inside the send message will be set to empty. Then we'll switch on the message type if to check which type of message was sent. So if it was photo message, we will set the recent text message to photo, and if it was video message, simply these are the constant that I created initially when the project I created. So when you go to this, simply the class and having the static constant methods having the simple string. So it's pretty simple like that. Simply checking the condition based on that. If the message type was photo message, set it to photo. The recent text message will be photo, and if it was video, and so it will set the recent text message to video, and so on for the others. So now instead of the message dot recent text message, the recent text message will be the recent text message set in here like that, pass it upon this. So now we are good to go with the send message. This method is fully implemented and I explain every little part of it, like how the message will be sent and how the data will be stored for the users and what are the possible things that we can achieve with this. So again, if you have any better idea to implement this, so feel free to do so and also let me know in the comment section, because I would be happy to see you implement this on your own way. So this is going to be great. So this method is successfully now implemented, so now it's time to go to the delete chat. So as far as I think, you might be familiar that how we will be deleting a chat message, since I explained everything, the flow and the model. So now it might be far easier than it would before if I just directly came here and start implementing the delete chat or delete message before implementing the send message. So that's why I wanted to implement the send message before doing the delete chat and delete message and then getting them like that. So the delete chat is going to be very simple. First of all, let's put the asynchronous in here, and inside the body simply access to the chat reference, document reference on the user sender UID, which means our UID, and in the my chat the specific user ID. Simply delete that chat and then we're done with deleting that specific conversation from our chat. And for the message, it will be pretty same, only the one collection deeper. So first put the asynchronous in here and then simply the same collections with the ID and simple the messages on the specific message ID, delete that message, and that's it. Now it's time to implement the get messages and the get my chat. So first of all, again, we are accessing to the message reference, like we have gone to the users on sender UID, which means our, and in our my chat we got the recipient UID ID of the user of which we are going to read the messages, and then we go to the messages collection and we are ordering the messages by the created ad, and we set it is descending to false, which means that each message will come one after another. Like the latest message will not be on top, but the latest message will be down, which means that the ascending order. So once we have the message reference in the stream, we will directly return from message reference the snapshots of that messages collection, and this will give us the query snapshot of map string dynamic, and from the query snapshot of map string dynamic we will get to access the docs, which give us the list of query document snapshot in the Cloud Firestore database, and we map each document snapshot and converted from snapshot to dot object and converted them into list. So this will return the stream list of message entity so that we can get the real-time chat when we send a message. So this will be directly updated and we will see the updates on our emulator or the device that we are currently running on. So that is what going to happen when the get messages is called with the parameters passed in here. And the get my chat will be pretty simple. Only we have to come till here and then get all the chats. First, again accessing the my chat reference, the file store collection the user's own sender UID, which means my ID, and inside my chat collection I will get all the chat conversation of mine, and the order by will be again uncreated, and this time we have to set the descending to true, which means that the most recent conversation that I have chatted with will comes on top, which is not case in the get messages, but we want each message to be down from the other message, which is true in case of the ascending order by time. So that is what will going to happen, and the next step in the get my chat will be from my chat reference I got the snapshot Sam as we are returning the stream. So we need the snapshot, so we map each snapshot, again giving us the query snapshot of map string dynamic, accessing the document query snapshot of map string dynamic, and converting each query document snapshot of map string dynamic to the dot object so that we can load it in our UI in Flutter application. So we only can deal with the dot objects, so that must be converted to from snapshot to dot objects. And that was it for the RemoteDataSource implementation. Again, I am reminding you, if you don't understand something, so please rewatch that specific part that I explained about sending a message, deleting and getting these messages like that. So that was the RemoteDataSource of chat implementation. Now inside the presentation layer, we are going to create the directory of Cubit. Inside the Cubit, we are going to have two more directories of chat and the message. And for the chat, we are going to have the Cubit of equatable enabled chat. And for the message, we are going to have the Cubit of again the equatable enabled of message, and the stats of them will be Sam, initial, loading, loaded and failure. So I got the message stat, initial, loading, and when is loaded we will simply get the list of messages gotten in the stream, so that we will emit the list of messages when the data is taken from the stream, and this list of messages will be shown in the list view builder. And then here we go, we got the data of messages, and Sam the chat stat is going to contain the loading, initial, loading, loaded. In the loaded stat is loading the list of chat entity, which means our conversations inside the chat page, and then it's time to go for the Cubit. So the chat Cubit is going to depend upon the get my chat use case and delete my chat use case, and let's pass them in the constructor and make them name parameters by wrapping them with the curly braces and make each of them required to make the dependency like that. And we already know the cure of that. To cure the dependencies with the dependency injection container, which is the very important step of clean architecture feature, which connects everything up to reach to the actual implementation and trigger that and done with a specific use case. So inside the chat Cubit, we are going to have two methods of get my chat and delete chat. So the get my chat is doing requiring the chat entity, which means that when calls on the UI, we have to pass the chat entity to provide the data so that the action will be taken on that data in the RemoteDataSource implementation that we just understood. And first of all, it will emit the loading stat so that we can show some loading indicator while loading the conversations. And then we will simply do call on the getMyChat use case, passing the chat and simply listening to that stream, and when the data is fetched, chat context simply will emit the chat load state, passing that loaded context loaded from the method we just write in the chat RemoteDataSource implementation. Or if the socket exception occurs, we will simply emit the chat failure, and for other exception we will emit the failure, so we get to know what's happening. So we will also deal with the chat feature in the UI, like what will happen when the state was chat failure. So that is how we are also managing the state of our application efficiently using the BLoC subset Cubit. So that was the getMyChat, and the delete chat is pretty simple. Simply taking the chat entity as a parameter and simply awaiting the deletMyChat use case and passing the data. So when it's called from the UI, the data will be taken, the use case is called, and then the dependency injection knows where to go to access to the real implementation and perform the specific task, and which state will be emitted and how the UI is going to look like here. Since we are getting the data in the stream, so this will be directly reflected when a message is deleted. So that is what happening in the chat Cubit. And then in the message Cubit, this is going to depend upon 3 use cases of delete message, send message, and lastly to get the messages, passing them in the constructor. And then here will goes the methods, and here we got the 3 of the methods that are pretty simple. The get messages is very similar to the getMyChat, simply emitting the loading state, calling to the get messages use case, and simply listening to the stream and emitting the message load state, otherwise dealing with the failures. And in the delete message, simply calling the delete message use case, and simply when sending the message, simply calling the send message use case, put the await in here, and simply accessing the chat and message entity like that. So that was the 2 qubits will be used for loading the conversation, the chat qubit, and loading the messages, sending the message, deleting the message, and deleting the conversation using that method. So the last thing that is remaining for the chat feature is directly create a dart file inside and name it chat injection container. And inside the chat injection container, we will copy the injection container of the user to save our time and directly paste it in here. So what you have to do is to remove all of its imports because these are useless in here. Change first of all its name to chat injection container and import the SL from the main injection container, and here we will go with the chat qubit, and this is depending upon the getMyChat SL, so we will do sl.call and delete mychat as mychat use case, we will go for sl.call. So you already know we are registering them as a register factory, which means that whenever is requested will give us the fresh instance for the qubit, and the sl.call doing start searching for the qubit register in the same injection container. So we are going to register the getMyChat use case right now, so this is not going to give us an error when the sl.call is called. So the next qubit here will be the message qubit, and then remove these get messages sl.call and the delete message sl.call, and lastly send message sl.call. That's it for the qubits. Now remove the rest of them, and for the use cases we will remove all of them and leave only one for now. And here will goes the use case injection as lazy singletons, and simply they are calling the sl.call for the repository. And now we have to change the repository injections to this. So when the repository SL.call is called, so the call is happen on the chat repository, and the repository implements the chat repository implementation, and the repository implementation depends upon the chat remote data source. So again it did the SL.call, so again it will start searching for the remote data source registered. So it is again registered here, the chat remote data source, which is returning the chat remote data source implementation, and the for Firestore SL.call it's already registered here in the main injection container. So here we go, we reach to our real implementation, and the function is triggered and the changes will be reflected on the UI. So that's how each task is executed in the clean architecture. So that's it for the injection also. Now press the Ctrl Option O to remove the unnecessary imports from the library or the dart file. Now when we want to start our application in the next video and go for binding the methods with the UI, so we will get an error while accessing the qubits in the UI. That is because we also have to provide them on top of the widget tree, which is the very important part. So we'll copy and paste this gist device number qubit 2 times, and we will do chat qubit and simply the message qubit here like that, so that next time it don't bother us that you have not provided these qubits, and we will good to go using them in the chat and single chat page. So the chat page and single chat page video might get a bit longer and can even be split into 2 videos, because there is much work required to be done in the chat page and in the single chat page, especially the single chat page, because we have different type of messages and then replying to this message. So there is a lot of work in that specific single chat page. So this video can be even split it into 2. Anyways, we will see in the upcoming videos what is going to happen. So that was all for this video. We have successfully implemented the remote data source implementation. We have written the qubits, we have registered them here, and we have also passed or provide them in here. But still we left one more thing, that is calling the await chat injection container. So that was the very last step to be done to register the classes of the chat feature, and we are done with this. So we have done all of the things of that were the tasks of this video. So that's it for this video. If you found this video helpful, thumbs up a like and subscribe for daily updates. Also, drop down all of your confusions in the comment section or directly DM me on Instagram or LinkedIn. And you can get this code from my GitHub repository. I will give the link in the video description. So that's it. See you in the next one.